I'll clean my camera. Ventilated spirit. All right, greetings. Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna deal with this camera here. Yeah, man. All right. All right. So, greetings. I am Chief Nanya Minwab Kyriel Bay, registered copyright trademark. All right. Um, I haven't been around, or I'm new for some of those who never see me before. I'm here basically for algorithm purposes. Yeah. And also because I did a video recently, and it was, well, it's a video, a whole video. It was broken up into parts, and parts of it were shared on Facebook and some other medias. And now all I do is just answer some of the questions, because I get to realize that some people none the wiser as to some of the plots that was played against the indigenous people. As a matter of fact, some of them didn't even know that indigenous people look like me and you. And that is something I think, even though I'm here for algorithm purposes and we're doing something, it's a drive around the world with indigenous people who are now reclaiming their lands, their culture, their and etc. and etc. And we are looking to create an algorithm that should create some waves and movements, right? So what happening is now, in that video, there's some snippets that was played, and some people didn't understand a couple of things. So what I'll do is I'll address just from memory, right? Um, what they was talking about. One of the questions was oh, I might have more than one of the questions was I is he actually indigenous, or what? He look like that and he indigenous? All right. Wow. For some people, that might be real. Wow, because the people in this circle, they might be like, wow, people are still on that level. And for some others, it'll be like, you know what, you should tell them, because now is the time. And no time is better than now. So, indigenous people to the planet, whether it be here in the West or there in the East, indigenous people to the planet look like me and you. It's been scientifically proven on more than one occasion, right? The closest one I could remember is the Lepidopithecus afarensis in the Afar regions in Ethiopia, right? That is probably 3.2 million years old, of a female, right? The oldest living fossils defined of humans is a female who belongs to people that look like me and you. So indigenous means organic, organic to the planet. We sprung from here. We were here first. No, the current narrative of people who are indigenous, this is not to knock them. I am saying that you are our children and grandchildren. But the current narrative promotes you only. We ain't we have no problem with that, because we speaking out now, as I say, algorithm purposes and that type of stuff. These people who are currently the current narrative for indigenous people are what you call aboriginal people, right? Original people are their parents, right? Aboriginal, just like words like abnormal and other words with ab in front of it, whatever, right? Suggests anti what is in front of the word, right? Anti the word itself. So abnormal, aboriginal, they are from the original people. So across in on that side of the hemisphere by Australia, they hear that word used a lot. We were there also. Um, yeah, here they use some people here use the word Aboriginal. We have people like the Arawaks and well, Carib is a misnomer. Caribs are actually Garifuna. Some people refer to them as Kalinago also. Black Caribs, right? There are a couple of terms for them. But these people look like me and you. Take for instance, all right. So I'm not gonna do because I just want to get this out as as uh, as a conversation for the beginning part that you missed probably from the interview and for those who don't know these simple things. No problem. It's always a chance to know. So that's why I'm doing it. So we just wasn't called to the algorithm alone. The call was to get the message out to the people and let the people know in this day and time what's actually up, what's actually going on. So what happened is now we are the indigenous people. All of us were not brought over here on slave ships. All of us were not brought over here on slave ships. All of us weren't slaves either. Some of us, the majority of us, because they didn't have that technology to be making that trip back and forth like that and stacking people like sardine just do make real common sense because of that distance, you would have no slaves by the time you reach. These things do add up. And to the narrative of the people and them who call themselves explorers back in the time, although we know the navigator is the real person who controls the ship, and he was Pietro del Negro, means Peter the Black or Peter the Nigger, or whatever you want to say. This was the actual facts recorded by the explorers that at that time called Cristoforo Colombo. He was the guy who recorded that. When they came to these lands, they met people looking like me and you, as dark as night, with hair like those of alarms wool or like fiber or whatever, what have you. The current narrative now has people with common type of hair. The abnormal type of hair that belongs to people like me and you, they don't have it. I am not saying that they are not indigenous, and I am not saying that they don't have indigenous claims either. Don't get me wrong and leave that for fools to create bacchanal with. I am saying that you are our children and some of you are our grandchildren, right? So that was one of the questions. How am I indigenous? Oh, actually, all right. So let me give him a line then. So from my mother's side of the family, because indigenous people create their lineage or hail their bloodline from the matriarchal side of the family, as opposed to this system patriarchy. We hail from the matriarchal side of the family. So I'll tell you from my mother's side, my father also has the roots, although he keep his oral tradition about when I was younger. I don't know what he say now, because here, well, on this island, he here in the flesh, but not on this island. And he's very busy, so he has less time to communicate and really do talk about that kind of stuff. But we used to say when we was younger that we would belong to the Moors who control the whole of the Europe and they build this and that and all that type of stuff. But also he told me about what his grandmother and his mother used to say about the Chima people. You could go look them up. All these things are saying that out there, the information out there, you could go look it up. The Chima people is indigenous to where they call them Carpi Chima now, Freeport and all them place them, you know. They were they are nice autonomous tribe outside of the whole slavery narrative and all that type of stuff. And they used to kidnap them. For real. Kidnap them and induct them into slavery. Right? So a lot of people who was here already, that's how they build the slave manpower, the slave force, that amount of numbers. They came here with the ones and twos from off the continent. And then now, when they came, they stole from who were already here. So do get tapped with the current narrative about all of we come from Africa and all of we. Listen, people that look like me and you are indigenous to the whole planet. When the planet was one walk in space and it wasn't separated and the earth was one, like the scientists call it Pangea, we traversed the planet. Then when we alone was on the planet, and then when we started to give birth to other races, we traversed the planet then. also. So this type of narrative that they running now on the planet is being corrected, and this is what all the narrative is about. Right? This is what all the algorithm talkers speaking about is about. We are about to change that narrative. We are about to interfere with the algorithm. We are about to tell them. We are about to put all the information in the public domain. So for those of you questioning whether I am indigenous or not, that should be that. Or we go by oral tradition. I don't care what nobody books say about who I am and who I'm supposed to be. We deal with oral tradition as is all native tribes tradition, and also the culture on the motherland was also oral. By they were stored by griots, as they were the basic storytellers, the mental recorders, mental historical recorders of their tribes and clans, and these people would hand down these stories from generation to generation, and every griot will stand up and from every generation and take the stories handed down from the former one, and this is how the traditions was handed down. So likewise, I take my oral tradition seriously, right? And my family from my grandmother's side, who I met recently, they still say they're Garifuna, right? So that oral tradition is live and connected within my heritage. Heritage, right? So that's the answer that. The next thing is governance. What style of governance you're gonna implement if they disband the government, and if we it's no matter if they disband the government one does one, the government is already gone through. The posing is a charade, and that is that. All we saying is respect us and move out our way. We don't need nobody to verify or confirm anything because we have all our verifications and confirmations, right? So, all we're saying is that what style of governance? Do some research on the seven Iroquois nations, the seven white Iroquois nations, I think is one of the recorded titles, and then see what style of governance they had before this will be known as demon crazy operating on the planet here right now. Right? So that's one. That style of government, it never died. So what style gonna be re-implemented is gonna be that style, right? Friday the 13th, some days ago, I spoke to actual living queen of the north. So I'm speaking to you like this because it seems as though people think these things is fairy tales or what. I spoke to her like, and we speak like normal. But now that I know people don't think that indigenous people have operations and have governments and all that type of stuff, this is why I have to say these type of things. She's an actual living queen, and she actually owns her family. She has the papers, everything. She owns from Atlanta, the not the Georgia's East Eatonton, Georgia side, the other side, and the connecting states all around there. So it have people with their oral records and also paperwork, right? We will be on paper because our brains was quantum. You understand? It had no amount of terabytes and whatever bytes to come up with after that to hold more information that could compete with the human brain. All right? And not just all right, we just leave it at that. So that's just for that one. That's to do with what style of governance, when government that existing, when corporations that existing right now on the land get disbanded, what style will be implemented? Yeah, refer back to the seven Iroquois nations of that style that they used to do. That style is still existing. So that is the style that going to be implemented. That's to answer that question. Right. The next question was, let me see. Go. Oh, I'll answer these stupid questions. If I want everybody to walk around naked and all kind of shit. Listen, of course, there would be this. The current narrative is easy to follow, is easy to join, and of course, me saying this, I expect all type of talk, right? Because this is the opposite side to take. There's the hard part to take, the part to stand up and say the correct thing, stand up and speak the truth, right? So these things are there. I couldn't be bothered. As I say, I'm here for algorithm purposes, so it could marry what happening out there in the wider world. I just choose to keep it casual because I realize here, as the message reached down to here, big up to Hardcore News, by the way, my brethren Dave, big up to Hardcore News, but as the message come to him on this side, and people here receive the message, it had a lot of things I see in that. I realized, like, wow, bomba clad, this, I didn't know people didn't know these things, you know what I mean? So, it's cool that people not at a certain point. We don't have a problem with that. But as I said before, you could always know. So your problem is after you hear these type of things and you don't do anything about it, you um never you do anything about it. Then no, that's on you now. That's all on you. So basically, this is what I want to correct in the previous interview. And it's not matter of correction, it was meant for the wider people who already have a certain level of knowledge. Right? Also, I spoke on the queen, your so-called queen. Right? We don't refer to her as the queen, we refer to her as Elizabeth II. We have no such reserves about her. We know she's a fraud, and it has been proven she's a fraud. The International Common Law Court issued a warrant for her arrest in 2013 of March on the Gregorian calendar, if I'm not mistaken. All these things could be looked up. As I say, this is not I ain't come here to prove nothing. I come here to just spark the conversation and answer some of the questions. You who create the questions is on you now to prove what I am saying is wrong. I also have the documents to prove what I'm saying is correct. I posted some of them in the chat. You could go there, you could leave some questions at the bottom of this video. It's not a scene. I could do a part 2. We keep it casual with casual chats like this, and we could get questions and things going through. But what I'm saying is this now. As it pertains to what happening here on this island, officially, a matter of fact, all right, because what happening here on this island is connected internationally, whether people realize that or not. Take, for instance, the recent events. Everybody's saying the same thing around the world, basically nearly the same time, which in itself alone is food for thought. But by the way, anyhow, so I forget what I was going to say then. Okay, yeah. So what we're doing now is taking all this information that we have and putting it in the public domain. We know about this over a couple of years now, and you probably never hear about me before. You probably never see me before. That's okay because I'm not into the limelight. I'm not up in the upfront thing. We are about fixing what was wrong on the planet, what is still wrong on the planet, right? And what is that is we have some imposters claiming to be leaders, and they are upholding a status quo of the people who stole lands by force, because there were a lot of wars fought, right? By force, they stole and continue to steal the lands of indigenous people. So, all right, so let me think about the next question. Right. So, another question. What was the next question? What was the next comment? Boom, boom, boom. Oh, somebody was mentioning about Shogunas being belonging to the Africans, and I understand where you're coming from. But what we about is not really. We don't want to displace anybody, and we're not on that. What we on is indigenous people have the right to every single thing on this land, right? While we are not crazy and not mad people, we're not going to uproot people and disrupt people. All we saying is respect us or leave us alone, right? Because we have the right to practice our culture. We have the right to self-determination according to the United Nations Article 3, United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. All these things are existent and legal, right? So it had nothing to do with anything illegal. I'm telling you about it. It had nothing to do with inciting any discord amongst the cooperative nation and that kind of thing. It's about sending out the facts as response to the comments about the video that was meant for an international audience who already know of this information that I now breaking back down. So we kind of rail behind us on this island as a group living on one island, and people that look like me and you even more so, right? And I would say that to even concrete this idea, I just want people to get the concept that all of us who here on these islands were not brought here. It is an actual fact, it's a living fact. Go do your research. Go. I implore people who would see video and who listening right now to go check out the journal of Christopher Columbus, and they'd see that they record. Go check out all the olden drawings, the people that was here, and they look just like me and you. All right. All other peoples who are being followed under our current narrative right now is our children and grandchildren. We love them the same way, and they have the same claims as us. But all we're saying now is it's high time that we be respected or we be left alone to expand, to do our thing, you know what I mean? And travel and trade and all these type of intellectual things between indigenous people freely as they are signed on to the UNDRIP. And it has all these points that I'm pointing out here in it. So I don't know if I missed any other questions. Probably I do a part two just to answer the questions, because it's about clearing it up, because message come out and you don't know me from nowhere and you're hearing this, all this talk about this is fraud, the Queen is fraud, the government is fraud, the police and the powers, wherever and wherever. And you don't quite get the understanding of where this coming from. But really and truly, this is actual facts. The highest score, as I was stating in the video, as you hear this before, those who are responding to from the video, the highest court of appeal, the highest appellate court on this island is the Privy Council. Oh, last night in the news, they were talking about some decision the Privy Council weighed in on as it pertains to this country. And as I was rightfully pointing out, that you could never say that you are independent when a next man rules is governing your house. So we get that clean. So that rubbish they teach in church in school is just pure rubbish. And you'd see that these people, I don't care what side of the fence you're on politically, none of them have the interest at hand, because these people will carry the truth, right? And they all carry a big charade, right, to keep things how it is so that they could benefit. Ever wonder why most of your politicians is lawyers or have some experience in law, right? And you ever wonder why they never get locked up, right? Because they know the system is a fraud. And those who know, they probably now pass the bar and now coming into the stuff and now have the air about them. Oh, I'm this legal, sophisticated clown, yes. And they just don't know. But literally, that is what it is. She has no power to legislate. A criminal has no power to legislate. A criminal can't bring charges against anybody, and so forth and so on. So for future, what we could do is this as we go along, because that video is a long video that was out that people commenting on. That's just part of the video, snippets of the whole video. And as the next parts come out, because it's still going to go international, because that was already done. As the next part come out and the questions come up, and here you can leave your comments in the question section below, and I will post all the information as it pertains to us as a nation. Well, we has moved away from the nation title that much. We still operate under that type of style, but we are tribe first and foremost, right? So this is Chief Minwab, registered copyright trademark from the Kyrie LB clan, and this is Casual Talk. And this Casual Talk start off, as I say, because of the video that was posted, and also we have had international meetings and discussions, and now is the time for our information to come back to the front. I don't have to go through the history of what governments did and are currently doing, but I could give a bit of information. I don't know everything. I could give a bit of information as to what is taking place and what I was speaking about, right? So anybody who wanted to find out about the nation declaration and the documents, all that will be in the comment section below. So yeah, I hope that that clear up some of the things for you. The foolish questions, we just leave that right there. Any other questions we could post and I get back to you. Right? So give thanks for all of those who are out there. And oh yeah, for those of you who interested, also we just leave our email in the bottom so you can email us to find out how we claim the indigenous standing and that kind of stuff. And we work with you on that level, right? But we'd prefer that people, a matter of fact, you know what? This will do that for itself because people who have the knowledge, they'll be attracted to what they know already to be facts. Okay, so that's the end of the discussions, and I hope it was enlightening for those who had the comments. And yeah, look out for part 2. Tempter.